Welcome everybody, this is SharePoint Patterns and Practices webcast, or in this case it's more around a partner story. So this time we're going to talk about IDRC, which is a customer case which has been built on top of the PnP Starter intranet, which has been developed by Frank Cornu. My name is Vesa Juvonen, I'm a Senior Program Manager from SharePoint Engineering, and I'll be jumping in every now and then today on asking questions, but I'll let Dennis and Frank to actually go through and walk through what is the PnP Starter intranet and how it can be used to have a real life customer story. But let's start with an introduction. So Dennis and Frank, I think Frank is going to start with the introduction, then we move to Dennis. So Frank, quick intros.
Yeah, thank you, Vesa. So my name is Frank Cornu. I'm the founder and senior consultant at Ecos, and I'm also an office development MVP.
Thank you. And then we have Dennis as well as the customer representative, right?
Okay, so I'm Denis, thank you. I'm Denis Surgeon, I'm project manager for IDRC, and I was the customer from that project.
Excellent. So now, like mentioned, I'll let Frank and Dennis to actually take over the presentation. I'll jump in and interrupt the presentation every now and then if there's super interesting things which we should be asking stuff. But take it away, Denny. I think you're starting.
Yes, so just a little bit about IDRC. IDRC stands for the International Development Research Center. We are a Crown corporation in Canada. What we do, we fund research in developing countries, and we provide researchers with financial resources, advice, and training to help them find solutions to local problems. The mandate for this project was to renew the actual intranet that we used to have, which was a LAMP stack intranet. We had to leverage SharePoint technologies. We had to minimize the investment in both time and money for developing a solution for the intranet. IDRC is about 350 daily users. We have about 50 contributors, and the intranet was released on June 12th, 2017. To create the intranet, we actually did an agile methodology project. We built on iterative automated deployment. We used SharePoint 2013 SP1. All the browsers were supported, so Safari, Chrome, IE11, and Firefox. And we started the project with the PnP intranet solution from Equias. Frank?
Yeah. So thank you, Denis. For those who don't know the PnP Starter intranet, just a quick recap on this solution. So the PnP Starter intranet was first introduced 1 year ago on September 2016. So basically, it's a startup publishing intranet solution for SharePoint. It uses the classic publishing experience. So in this solution, basically you have multiple navigation menus, all driven by taxonomy. So you have a main menu, a header, footer, and so on. This solution is totally responsive, so it supports mobile devices. For this one, we use the Bootstrap framework. It also supports the multiple languages, so the base, the default solution comes with French and English languages. For the technical part, this solution is powered by the PnP tool. So for the provisioning, for instance, we use the remote provisioning engine for automated deployments, and we use also the SP PnP.js, so the JavaScript library for all the SharePoint communication request. It uses also modern web stack tools like TypeScript, Webpack, and so on. We also use the Knockout.js for all the UI and the component behaviors. So by this way, there is no server-side dependencies. So all you need is a site collection and a workstation, and you can just deploy the solution, the whole solution, without connecting on the SharePoint server. So the solution runs, like I said, in a site collection, in an isolated site collection. So all you need is a blank site collection, publishing site, and PnP PowerShell commandlets according to your target SharePoint version. And that's it. So it was the 1.0 version. Then we had the 1.3. So with this version, we've added a bot framework integration. So it demonstrates how to integrate a bot with authentication within your intranet, within SharePoint, and also includes the support for SharePoint 2013 and 2016. And the latest version, the current version, is the 2.0 version, released the last month, so September 2017. And this version is very particular because it uses the design from IDRC project. So Denis will show you in a few minutes what is the original solution, and the main difference between the first version is about the multi-language the multi-language support. So in this version we use one site per language, so like SharePoint variations do. So this is the main difference. So you can get this solution on the PNP GitHub repository, and it's free, so you can use it for your own environment with no problem. I think Denis will present the original solution for IDRC intranet. So let's Denis present the solution.
All right, so thank you, Frank. I present you Mahali. Mahali is the current intranet at IDRC. Mahali stands for places. It's in Swahili and also in Arabic. So like Frank said, this was developed using the starter intranet PNP. From top to bottom, so Mahali have a employee directory which is linked to the user profile in SharePoint. We did a little tweak to that, adding some display templates and also an index. So you can click to get multiple names. So we use specific display templates to display picture names, titles, and so on. We have an org index, which is not a part of the PNP solution. It's actually a third-party web part that we acquire. It also connects to the user profile service, and that allows you to, with the manager position and assistant position, to actually get a drill down of the current org chart. We have an help center we can actually contact as well. And being in Canada and being a government agency, we have to be compliant in French and in English. So the intranet is available in both French and English. Here is my name. It's actually the login button that we actually relocated. The intranet salute me every morning and ask me if I would like to accomplish some task. Being search-driven intranet was a requirement for the intranet, so the real estate of the search box actually play a big role in that intranet. The intranet can be searched into multiple scopes. So we have 3 scopes for intranet, for documents, or for people, which are result type search results. I don't remember the configuration in the back end. Frank, what's the name of those one?
This is controlled by the search navigation. So this is you can control them by search navigation. So it's a built-in SharePoint feature.
Thank you. Here's the main navigation. The navigation is a functional navigation perspective from the information architecture. It's also driven by a term store in SharePoint. It creates mega menus with 2 levels. Then we have the news section, which is the section on the left top side, up to 10 news. We also have events on the right side. You can actually add an event to your Outlook calendar as well. We do some marketing campaign from the communication division. One of the business requirements was actually to separate stuff like career opportunities and acting from the main news. So we created a tabular navigation on the right side for both career and acting. We inserted the tweet feed, and we also have some quick links. So we're in the first quarter actually of the intranet. So for now, the footer has been left empty, but we will actually create a survey pretty soon to get more content, probably a fat footer that contains the information that users are looking for the most. Once you're, okay. So there's also search display template for multiple type of items. If you search for manual, you would actually get different display template depending on the type of content. And there's also a custom search refinement panel. So instead of being on the left side, Frank actually created that one. And so you can filter by content, which is pages, PDF, and so on. And you can also get a range from a nice looking calendar. From a mobile perspective, the application rendered quite nicely for mobile, so you always have the title, the search option, and the menus. We started the project with a custom brand, like pre-packaged branding, and since we actually bought it, we kept it, and it allows you to actually get some kind of nice CSS pre-built in the solution that we have. So we actually leveraged the previous investment that was prior to actually get Frank on board for the solution. But we were actually able to leverage the investment later down the road. For navigation, Frank will probably cover a little bit of that later. But if we go on edit mode, so there is actually a translation for that page, but if the translation would not actually exist, you would come here, type the page in French, and then click create. That would actually create the new page in French with a GUID ID that would be associated with the English version of the page. Since we're in the production environment, I'm not going to save those changes. And I believe that sums it up. Frank, like anything?
Yeah. So a few points here, just Vesa pointing in. So this one is an on-premises SharePoint 2013 environment. It's been a while for me to see that kind of a header. So it's kind of, oh, what's wrong with that SharePoint? Oh, it's on-premises. Yes, of course. Yeah. But it is a good reminder that this solution does work in 2013, 2016, and SharePoint Online. And it's the same modern web stack development in all of the environments, right, Frank? So there's no really difference from that perspective.
No, so all the JavaScript code is deployed, is stored in the style library of the site collection. So you can upload the new files or update the solution without touching the content types and so on, the SharePoint structure. We have also a configuration list on the site collection to control the cache settings and navigation settings. So this is the site content, yeah. Because this is a JavaScript-based solution, we have to control the performances. We have to improve performances. So we have implemented a cache mechanism. So Denis showed you the cache control. So if you say yes, we use the local storage to store, for instance, the navigation nodes and so on. So it improves the performances.
Absolutely, and that's a really, really good point. You had it in the slide as well, and mentioned, and we'll come back on the more technical stuff after this demo as well. But the performance is really, really the key here as well. So even though you're doing a client-side development, quite often people think that then I don't need to do caching. And the answer is no, you need to do caching, because if you're running from a client side, you can actually hit SharePoint really, really fast and hard if you're always requesting, for example, taxonomy navigation terms, and then you draw your navigation based on that. That's just, I would say, even insane. Because how often will the navigation change? Well, once in maybe twice, bi-monthly, maybe, I don't know, or once a month. It's not like you need to go in every single request and re-execute and check if the taxonomy navigation has been changed. And those are the things what people should be catching. Or if you have search-driven results, like in this front page, probably the news, they are either search-driven or they're content-driven results. You can actually cache them as well, or do a cookie-based, let's say, storage. So you understand that, well, we have a news from past, which is refreshed in every 30 minutes, as an example. If that's sufficient, I don't know. There's multiple debates on the refresh rate of these things, but the key point here is to remember is that the client-side caching is super, super important to make the performance acceptable. Yep. Good. I think that's it. Let's flip back on the slides, and I think Frank is going to do quite slightly more detailed on what's in the package available from the PnP GitHub repository. So let's flip back on the slides and continue from there.
Okay. Thank you, Danny, for this presentation. Just a quick slide about improvements made from between the public version and the original version of the PnP Starter Internet and the version for IDRC. So first of all, we've made a lot of improvements about the performances. We rely a lot of in the local storage of the browser to store useful values like configuration values or navigation nodes and so on. So we don't have to fetch them every time we load the page. So it's very important for performances. Also, we turned on the JSON-Lite support for SharePoint 2013. So if you don't know about this feature, it allows you to reduce the payload size of your requests. So to enable it, it's by default it's activated on SharePoint 2016 and SharePoint Online, but you have to turn on in SharePoint 2013. So to do this, just set a special header in your request, so to enable it. Also, we've added some new features. Like people directory, complete new search experience, also some display templates for news and events, and the most important one, a complete and reusable design, completely responsive design, directly taken from the IDRC solution. So thanks to IDRC for sharing. Maybe Denis, you can talk about your motivation to share this solution to the community.
Yes, so we did a lot of research to actually before we start the intranet, and we look at a lot of solutions that were SaaS solution for SharePoint intranet, and I was quite pleased to actually find that people were really active in the open source community about sharing their solution. And I knew actually Frank from a previous SharePoint Saturday experience. I know that he was really good. I was actually trying to contact him for this project. So I was able to actually contact him. We had a good discussion. He actually showed me his product, and that totally aligned with what IDRC is doing, which is helping the community. And we're proud to be able to actually to add to the community as well.
And I have to jump on this one. It's great to hear that obviously, because this is the whole point why we're doing the PnP and the SharePoint patterns and practices, and we want to build a community on the common knowledge of the community as well. So it's excellent to hear those words from IDRC as well.
So thank you. So I will show you. The next slide is about the difference between. So you've seen the original solution from IDRC, and I will show you the public version of this intranet, which is the PNP Starter Intranet v2. So I will jump into my screen, and I will show you. So this is the public version of the PNP Starter Intranet. So as you can see, this is pretty much the same as the IDRC solution. The main differences, like I said, is about the language support. So in this version, you have one subsite per language. So by this way, it allows you to benefit of the MUI of SharePoint. So you can web parts and so on will be translated automatically. So this is the main difference. Also, like I said, we have integrated a bot. So in this version, you can activate a bot. So it's here, and it shows you. This is not the code is not included. The bot code is not included in the solution, but you can get it on my GitHub repository, my own GitHub repository, and it shows you how to interact with a bot in an authenticated context. So in SharePoint, for instance, I'm in SharePoint Online. You can just play with a bot and do some research in your SharePoint site, directly in your SharePoint site. So this is a quick feature that you can use to improve the search experience. So you have a quick integration, a demo of this integration. So this is basically the same. It's fully functional, so you can just deploy it and use it. You don't have to make any further customization. You can just change the logo, your background image, and you're good to go. The deployment is just done by PowerShell, and it takes about 20 minutes to deploy, so it's pretty quick. And you can use it in a single site collection, isolated, so there is no risk of conflicts with all other site collection or search configuration or taxonomic configuration in your tenant or farm. So you can get it. You can get this solution in the PNP repository, and you have all the details to deploy it and all prerequisites to deploy this solution in your environment. So like I said, it supports SharePoint 2013, 2016, and SharePoint Online with the same code base. So it's totally free of use. So if you want to use it, don't hesitate to use it. And this is the list of main features of this solution.
And obviously, I need to jump on in here. Let's go back on if you can go back on the portal. But yep. No doubt, sure. Frank can absolutely help on getting these things up and running for anybody who's looking into that, or people can actually look into the source code as well if they're skillful enough. But can we go back on the intranet still? If you can show the back on the actual portal. Yes, a few questions here, because obviously if people are looking into having, let's say, publishing or intranets in SharePoint Online, that they would have a typical set of questions. First question related on the languages is that, okay, are you using the multilingual capabilities within SharePoint? That's completely black out on my head. What's the replication? Sorry?
Variation.
No,
thank you. We don't use variation because, as you know, variations rely on timer jobs.
Yes.
And with the SharePoint Online, you don't have access to timer jobs. So, from a user point of view, variations are very painful, if I can say, yes. For a user. They have to wait past the translation for pages. It's not sustainable. So,
absolutely, and absolutely agree on that. I just wanted to kind of address that question because somebody might be thinking that, hey, variation is the multilingual solution in SharePoint Online. The answer is no, it isn't. that's not really what it's for. Because variation is great for replication of the hierarchy and replication of the content, as long as you can wait that to happen. Plus the fact that it's kind of assuming that the structure for English and French in this case would be identical. It doesn't really work that well if you have a different content between the languages. And even I worked in the past for larger, let's say, global companies which have 300,000 employees. Even in that scale, nobody has the resources to write all of their stuff in multiple languages. It's just impossible. It doesn't happen. There's always the main language, and then there are secondary languages, and that's when the variation is not a suitable solution. It just means that in this case, this is a great solution. There's a different people who would be managing French and different people who would be managing English version, and that's it. Good to go.
So just to show you the translation mechanism. So for every page we have a special layout with a custom control here, and you can just translate the page. Let's say I'm on the English side, okay? And if I want to translate this page, for example in French, just go here and it will copy this page within the French side. So, and then we have an association with a grid between the two pages, and that's it. That's really it. So all the UI is controlled by the MUI. So the language is controlled by the MUI because, for instance, we are on the French side here, and we use a special JavaScript library to control all the custom labels and so on.
Yeah.
So as you can see, all the pages turn to French, all labels and so on.
Yep.
So this is basically the mechanism for the multilanguage support.
And that's a good design because, like mentioned, now you will have anyway different people managing probably French and English content because especially if there's multiple additional languages, because there isn't that many people in the world who can write 5 languages as an example. So anyway, good. The next question, what I wanted to actually quickly tackle is that because you got this question every single time we had this demonstration. So you're using a custom master page. What now?
Yeah.
Is that recommended or not? And you can start, and I can.
Okay. From my point of view, for a publishing site, I think it's not a shame to use a custom master page. For team site, you don't have to use a master page, but when you talk about intranet, the first thing you want is that your intranet shows the brand of your company. So if you want to do this kind of design, honestly, it's very difficult to do without a custom master page. Okay. And especially if you want to do some responsive design and so on, it's very, very difficult. So honestly, I try to not use a custom master page, but it's just not possible to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, and just let me reiterate on that one as well. So custom master pages are absolutely supported in classic publishing sites. You can absolutely use them if you know the impact of that decision. That's why we don't explicitly anywhere within our documentation typically mention what is a best practice and what's not a best practice, for example, related on master page users or none. We say that if you can avoid them, it's worthwhile to actually avoid them. But again, if your business requirements mandate that you need to do something like this one, probably the custom master page is the easiest way and most cost efficient and most future friendlier way to make that happen. You just need to be aware that your custom master page might block some future scenarios, but that's just being aware of that. And to be fair, that the classic publishing scenarios in SharePoint Online, they do quite often require a custom master page. Now, the modern publishing, which kind of is getting there with the communication sites, it's too early to make any final conclusions on that one. But that one doesn't actually support custom master pages at all. So there's no way for doing custom master pages in communication sites. But with classic publishing, which we're seeing in here, absolutely supported, absolutely can be used. Which reminded me that I'll probably do a to-do list on myself that we should do some sort of a intranet in a communication site. What's the possible currently webcast in the PnP? But that's a different topic. So let's get back on this presentation.
Sure. Can I add something to Vesta's first question?
Absolutely.
So from Vesta's first question, I would like to add that the solution is kind of easy to deploy and actually maintain and also tweak if you need it. Not being a SharePoint pure developer or a super admin guy, I can actually deploy the solution, make change to the code, and so on. So that was not too hard to actually catch up. And for those people who would actually struggle with the implementation of that, I believe that Frank actually made available some really well done documentation on his website.
Absolutely, yes. Yes. So please do check Frank's company website also for additional information on this one. Absolutely, good point.
Thank you, Denis.
Good. I think we can continue on the slides. I don't have any curveballs right now waiting, so feel free to continue.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Esa. So this is basically it. You can see the whole feature of the PnP Starter intranet. So feel free to try it in your own tenant or farm. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me directly or by or by GitHub. So.
Thank you once again, Frank and Dennis, for your presentation. So, and thank you, Frank. I've been saying this quite a few times in the community calls. Thank you for your contribution for the benefit of the community as well, because these kind of contributions help other people to understand the right ways of doing customizations as well. Sure. If we're talking about classic purposing scenarios, there's the custom master base is a debatable discussion. You don't have to go there, but there's a lot of other goodies within the solution as well if you want to avoid, even though you would be building, let's say, collaboration sites. And the solution is nicely demonstrating, for example, the provisioning techniques so that you can really, really easily and fast set up your deployment. But thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Frank. Any last words from you guys around this?
Nope, so nope. I think we're done.
We're all done. Excellent. So thank you guys for presenting. Please have a look on the solution, and the URLs will be in the video notes as well. Please contact Frank if you need to have more information around how to set things up if the basic guidance in the README is not sufficient. But thank you for this one, and we'll come up with a new webcast sooner or later. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.